Okay then, hi everyone, Peter Wilson here again. Been a couple of weeks, but just been so busy running around the place and doing presentations. Now, this is a presentation I have done recently on this stuff here. Obviously, we're talking about www.claimyourstrawman.com and also smashadebt.com. Okay, this has got something to do with both of them, being the birth certificate fraud and also the debts, which is unsecured debts. But we're also touching on the fraud for council tax as well, which sometimes can end up being a debt. Okay, so and like I say, this is I've done this presentation recently anyway, so I'm just going to do it. I promised that I would do it and record it because we couldn't record it at the venue. It was just too busy. So, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about the birth certificate fraud, your credit account, which is how they actually get all of the finance moving. It's like your credit. You are the source of all credit. This is the fraud that they've created for us. And you are absolutely unlimited credit. Okay. The reason why I'm saying that and explaining that, and it all ties in with the birth certificate fraud, is everyone thinks like when you're dealing with the Seta KV account and they've got this trust account and they're looking at it like you've got, like trillions that are available to you and you can just go pop down the bank, tell them, and then they're all going to go and allow you to access this funds and stick all this in your bank account. And it's not really like that, but you do have unlimited credit. Now, we've been investigating like this credit and also how to access this credit via the 1099 claim, which is the original issuer discount, which a lot of people like poo-poo and say, no, that's rubbish as well. But I'm telling you now, I'm dealing with people who are actually having access to this account. So what that means is it's like what went through your bank, the credit that you created with your sign of nature, your signature, okay, and being able to reclaim that back because you were the original issuer, you created it. But keep an eye out for more videos on that. Right now we're just going to crack on. Okay, now as it says, it all starts with our born day, right? Born day, not birthday. This is the whole scam where they're actually creating it as a birth and a birthday. You're going to explain it on here in a little bit, right? But it's your or our born day when we are born, and they change it to the birthday. But when they're doing it, we always write the birthday card like BIRTH. But what they're doing is they're putting it as a birth, BERTH, birthing a ship. A ship will go into a harbour, and a ship is birthed, i.e., put alongside in a harbour and tied to the dock wall. That is what it means. And this is what they're actually creating for us, putting everything into maritime. So now a mother, this is what we're talking about from the very beginning for you being you're born. All right. They used to say they're getting labour pains. All right. Now the mother's getting labour pains. They're getting ready to, have the baby. Now, right, they're going to tell you that they get contractions. Okay, contractions. All right, you are actually contracting your son or your daughter. This is what they're doing. They're creating contracts right from the very get-go, from the very beginning, and even using the words straight in your face, hiding it right in plain sight. So not only are they contracting, i.e., right, the son or the daughter entering into a contract when they're actually coming into this unfortunate realm, but they're going to contract, i.e., contract, make smaller, okay, or shorten the title. Now, when I mean title, right, we're talking about we're all titles can be good or bad depending on what you want to do with them. Only accept titles when they're going to benefit you. We'll go on to that later. All right, but when you're born, you were born to an heir. You were an heir, okay, to your minor estate, okay, which is like you are supposed to be inheriting a percentage of the wealth of the country that you're born into, the land. You're born on the land, okay. They're trying to move you off onto the sea, but you were born and you were master or mistress, okay, of your minor estate. That's your share of the land that you're born into. So, as a master or mistress to your minor estate, as I just said, you're entitled to like your share of your country's wealth. So you're talking about all of like, the natural resources, which is like, the water and the oil and the gold, if there was any, the electricity, everything, all the natural resources that are forcing you to pay, bankrupting people to pay, got people there like on suicide and everything because they're all, haven't got any money to pay these things. And it's all yours to begin with anyway. You don't have to pay for any of it because you should have inherited it because you're, entitled to your share of your country's wealth. Now they want to hide it. Okay, so when they're hiding, it's to contract or shorten your title. So you're a master or a mistress of your minor estate. So now they make it a Mr. or a Miss. Okay, shorten the title. All right. So next you're going to get put on paper. Okay, what I mean by getting put on paper is they're going to create the birth certificate. We'll explain that in a bit. But what they're doing is they're actually putting you onto paper on the birth certificate. So you're becoming 2D. You're 2D, right? Like 3D is one thing. We're wanting to go to 4 and 5D, but you're actually being put on 2D, a piece of flat paper. So you are actually now a fictional entity, okay? Now, we touched on this just before. So they've changed how we're actually being born. So they've changed your being born, okay, to being birthed, all right? Now, this is in maritime law, Roman civil law, and it's all about water, okay? It's all about maritime law. Everything is water, okay? So you've got after your contractions, right, your waters break. This is talking about, like being born again. So the waters break. That's what they'd say. Now, actually, it's embryonic fluid, isn't it? We know the embryo is kept in the embryonic fluid, but now they're calling it waters, okay? So you were already under the laws of the water, all right? Through the telling you that the waters are broken. And the next thing that you're going to do is you're actually going to enter the birthing canal. So that the woman, she's had the waters break there, and then the baby moves down to the birthing canal. It's all about shipping lanes, maritime waters breaking onto there, all right, and going into the birthing canal. It's like right in your face all the time. Now, I've said this before. So like when a ship comes into a harbour, right, I've done this many times myself as well. They took ships into harbour and tied it alongside, birthed it, okay? So you've got a load of sailors birthing it now, okay? So in the harbour and it's birthed. So we are being birthed, going through the birthing canal, all right? So then you're going to get a birth, B-E-R-T-H, but we spell it B-I-R-T-H, a birth certificate, all right? But a ship also gets a birth certificate, but a B-E-R-T-H certificate, all right? Or it's called a ship's manifest. Now, what is a ship's manifest for? Tells you right there. It's all for tax. It's about tax. It's about what the ship is bringing into the deal so that they can actually tax the goods on the ship, all right? So you're being birthed in a delivery room. Right, when you're being birthed, you're getting birthed into a delivery room. So what is a delivery? Okay, so to check out what the meanings of these words are as well, this is what it's all about. They're putting these meanings in there, these words in. So let's go and check Bouvier's Law Dictionary. If you haven't read Bouvier's or had a look at Bouvier's Law Dictionary, go check it out. You can actually do it online. So go and check out that later on, and you'll see that I'm not making this up. All right, delivery. Look for delivery in Bouvier's dictionary. So in Bouvier's that we're talking about, delivery, it deals with conveyancing in contract law. Okay, all right, I've actually just signed up for a university degree in contract law and taught. So we're looking at delivery, and it deals with conveyancing in contract law, and this is Bouvier's Law Dictionary. You can do it and check it online. All right, delivery, conveyancing. Okay. And what it means is, this is what's in the dictionary: the transferring of a deed from the grantor, that's the giver, to the grantee, the giver to the receiver, right, in such a manner as to deprive him of the right to recall it or the delivery may be made and accepted by an attorney. This is indispensably necessary to the validity of a deed. Accept, right? So like, you know, that looked to me that is as if like they're going to take something away so you can't get it back. All right. Now, at this bit, when it said this is very important, except it be the deed of a corporation. Remember the word corporation, which, however, must be executed under their common seal. It must be put under the seal if it is the corporation. Now, who is the corporation? The Crown Corporation. So they've got the Crown Corporation that are birthing you, right? And they're also going to turn you into a corporation at the same time. So their common seal can be the sign of nature, signature, sign of nature of the midwife. And it's the midwife who completes the live born or birth certificate. Okay, so they're actually getting this common seal done. We don't even know it's happening. So they're actually doing that delivery, conveyancing, giving the child. You're actually giving the child away. Okay, in a way you can't recall it. You cannot claim it back. That's what it said on there. So have a look at Bouvier's dictionary. It says that. You've got to read it and understand what they mean. Okay, now they've created an implied person or an implied corporation by doing that, and you've actually given the son or daughter has now become a child. A child is a title, son and daughter is not, but they've created a title, which is a person, and a corporation out of that son or daughter. All right, so now you have the parent, which is another title. The parent is a title, okay? The parent then becomes the informant. You're an informant. If you don't believe me, go and have a look at the birth certificate down. It says that you are an informant. If you can't see it on your own birth certificate or an older your son or daughter's birth certificate that you sign, then have a look at the registers. You can see them online. And you, the parent, is down as an informant, just like a police informant, eh? Okay, so now the change, I said that before, they change the son or daughter to a child, right? The child, which is now a title, and they own the title, hence they own your son and daughter. All right, so we complete the birth certificate, and then your son and daughter is now a ward of the state, which is why you are being put into a hospital ward. Again, they're showing you it straight in your face, all hidden in plain sight. So let's just go back to what you said about like credit, and you are the source of all credit. So what they do is the birth certificate, okay, it then becomes a bond, and that bond is traded on the stock exchange. All right, that is what creates your credit account. Okay, now why is this a credit account? Well, what they've done is they've created a fake currency. There is no money. Money does not exist, or could only exist through gold and silver, and you don't really carry much of that around, do you? So in 1931, that's in the UK. 1933, USA and the rest of it. In 1933, they did it through the House Joint Resolution 192. So if you're from the United States, check that out, right? Now, this is the funny thing, though. It's not funny. This is a strange thing. Everything gets directed to the USA. Now, it takes a long time for you to find this out and check this and everything like that. But I know for a fact through this 1099 process that we're discovering through that House Joint Resolution 192, when they got rid of all of the gold in 1933 from the USA and the rest of the world, started it first in the UK in 1931, okay? They actually started it in the UK in the First World War, okay? Started draining all the gold out of it, and you weren't allowed to have gold because the country needed it for their war, huh? Right, okay. So what they've done, they removed the gold and silver from the banking, okay? So now, from backing up money in the banking. So now, right, all you have is currency. Current, as a current of a river or a current in the sea, currency, all right? All fake, all maritime, telling you all about it straight to your face. So as I had said, going back to water, again, current, sea, currency. It's always maritime. So you hear like we see like when you go to New York and they've got the Statue of Liberty, and it stands for freedom. Does it really? Absolutely not, because the liberty means basically a benefit, a compelled benefit. So it's something that can be given and something that can be taken away anytime. That is a benefit. Freedom is an inalienable right of man and woman. Liberty is something that can be given and taken away. For example, again, going back to when I was in the Royal Navy and we were traveling around the world, and we would get into a harbour. I did we did a tour of the Iran-Iraq War, okay, the Gulf War, the first one before Bush got too involved, and we went to Africa for some leave. So we went into Kenya. It was the first time, and stopped in Kenya, and then they put the ship's gangplank down, and then once everything's finished and all the jobs are finished, they ring the Liberty Bell. They ring literally they do ring the bell. You've probably seen a ship's bell if you've ever been on a ship or seen it on the films. When they ring the Liberty Bell, then you were allowed to leave, and you can go ashore and you can do whatever you want ashore, but you have to be back because it's just a benefit before the bell rings again. Okay, which is usually like I don't know, probably 6 o'clock in the morning. That might be a little bit later if they're having sort of like start working at 8 o'clock. But that's what it is, and you have to get back before it rings. So it's definitely not freedom. Okay, it's a privilege, it's a benefit, and they can take that away at any time they want. So all about maritime, all about water. So think about it. These words that we're always using all the time: citizenship, membership, township. How can a town be a ship? Apprenticeship, workmanship, friendship, hardship, kingship, partnership, sponsorship, championship, leadership, scholarship, fellowship, censorship. Heard about that plenty, haven't we, lately? Relationship, craftsmanship. All right. So what about dictatorship? All right. What about, like, Canada and Australia, and seeing what you're seeing now? All right. Absolutely insanity, isn't it? But it's not really. It's not insanity. It's dictatorship. And the water continues. Frozen assets. Okay. Like the Canadian banks, they froze the bank accounts of anybody that was driving the trucks or even supported them. Okay. All right. So when will it be us? When are they going to do that to us? Got to think about these things. So you have liquid assets, banks. Well, banks of a river float, making sure that the currency flows. Okay, that's all a bank is, and it is currency. All right, it's a current, it's flowing. All right, you float your company on the stock exchange. What a term! Have you ever thought about it? Why would you float it on the stock exchange? Because it's water. Your company's buoyancy, is it doing good? Yeah, it's a good buoyant company. Buoyancy, right? Keeping my head above water. You heard that? Like, I'm always struggling to keep my head above water. Or you're drowning in debt. Why would you drown in it? Okay, all right. So there's no such thing as a coincidence. There's no such thing of this much of a coincidence. All of this maritime, talking about it all the time. All of these phrases and talking about water or water-related things, and we are hypnotized. Or, well, I'm not, but from birth we're getting programmed. Okay, and it's all about hypnotism. Now we need to undo the hypnotism. So you've got to know yourself. Okay, so we are created by the Creator. Now you can call it what you want. You can say God, Allah, Jesus Christ, whatever the term that you could want to be, Buddha. All right, but they don't want you to know or comprehend. Okay, all they want you to do is understand. And what I mean by understand, all right, on the English legalese, right, they just want you to stand under the authority that they believe that they have over you. So when I'm saying know thyself, what you need to know is that you are not a person. Okay, right? There is a banking code, and this is all about the person on their banking code. You are alive. You are a man and woman. All right. Now, the banking code, it tells you how to refer to yourself, ourselves. But But this is the same when dealing in any commercial realm. It's all about commerce. Everything is set up in commerce. We live in a law of commerce and contracts. All right. People talk about common law and we're living in a common law. That's nonsense. Right. The common law is such a small area. We live and exist in commerce. All right. And because we're living in commerce, we are under contract law. That is all there is to it. Everything is contract. Okay, so if like your whole life is set up on contracts and you're agreeing to contracts or disagreeing with contracts, and most of the time you don't even know it. All right. So when we refer to ourselves as we, our, or us, we, our, or us. Okay, it's plural. All right. Oh, look, it says there it's plural, but it also refers to as us being the creditor. We're the creditor, or the bank. We can be the bank, and that's what we are. We are the creditor. We are the source of all credit. So let's take that on also to a summons, for instance, from the court. What do you summons? Can you summons a man? No, you can only summons the dead. You summon the dead, don't you? That's what you do. So a summons or a debt collector's letter. I deal a lot with that on that smashadebt.com. Okay, smashadebt.com. And they always refer to you. Who or what is you? Okay, we send it back and saying, can you tell me who you is? Because we do not know who you is. Tell us who you is and we will direct this correspondence to you. All right. We are the bank. We are the creditor. You have to remember that we are the creditor. Okay. So when they use you that they put in the letters, right, that is a customer. That is the debtor. Customers always pay, right? And we don't want to be the customer. So when they're sending these letters or the summings and they're saying you, right, it must be rebutted. You have to argue against it. That's what rebutted means. So is you your name? Is it your name? It's not my name. So we need to know the law. So what is a name? Is it you? So we're going back to the dictionary again. We're going back to Bouvier's dictionary, Bouvier's Law Dictionary. Again, you can get it online, okay? But I've bought the books. I like to be able to reference it when I need it. And it says a name. So what is a name in Bouvier's Law? Okay? One or more words used to distinguish a particular individual, such as Socrates or Benjamin Franklin. That's what it's got written in there. It's quite an old book. Okay? All right? So no man can have more than one Christian name. Now, I know you have middle names, but you've got your Christian name as your first name. All right, so Peter. Okay, that's my Christian name. Now, in general, a corporation must contract, sue, and be sued in its corporate name. This is why they're telling you, because we're talking about Bouvier's Law Dictionary talking about name. So if it's a corporation, it can only sue and be sued in its corporate name, full corporate name. So let's have a look at how we put the name. So we have Fred Henry Smith, written like that, look there, okay? Is the living man a man and cannot be summoned to court. We use blue ink, right? Because when we're doing contracts or banking, if you're using blue ink, then it means the living. Black ink means the dead, okay? So we use blue ink, not black. So in full capitals, Fred Henry Smith. Fred Henry Smith in full capitals, he goes to court because he's a corporation and he goes to fight other corporations in the court. All right, Fred Henry Smith is a corporation or a person. Remember we said that about a person? Okay, well, a person is a corporation, all in capitals. So what do we mean by that? What is a person? Now, I use Bouvier's Law Dictionary and also Black's Law Dictionary a lot. But now we noticed something. In 1862, I wasn't around then, but we see in 1862, the legal description of a person was changed, right, to be a corporation. Okay? More legalese tricks. This was in 1882. But we're looking there, 1862. 1882 was the Bills of Exchange. But if you look, 1862 changed that name to a person. Then 20 years later, 1882, we had the Bills of Exchange, right? Now, the Bills of Exchange Act was from England, but it covers the entire world, okay? So don't get confused with that. And then the next thing in the early 30s, right, the next step like comes. It's not that far apart. These people that we're talking about, these have been doing this for thousands of years. This is not like, you know, like people saying, oh, why did Boris Johnson or Joe Biden or decide to be this? This has been going on forever, okay? This new world order does not exist. It's an old world order. It's Roman civil law. We are under the Roman Empire. Simple as that. And just, unfortunately, I'm the one to break the news here. But anyway, in the early 30s, right, mothers started to be offered maternity leave with money. They were paid, right, when they completed a birth certificate. Because before then, you didn't have the birth certificate. You just had to put it in your family Bible or in the church Bible, all right? But they wanted extra control. Ring a bell? Right? Like digital passports and IDs and everything like that. They just wanted more and more and more and more control. So, right, the mothers were saying, look, it's a compelled benefit. Oh, it says there, look, compelled benefit, a compelled benefit. We'll give you this, right? Money, free money. And all you got to do is just like put your child on a birth certificate. So the birth certificate thing, again, very clever. It was designed to assist the government to trick you into agreeing to be a person. All right. So why we want to be a person? Because a person is a corporation. All right. Now, everything outside of law, and I mean the law, right? The universe or the creator's law, that's law, right? It's the only law that there is, all right, is the law of the creator. And the creator created man, and man are right underneath the creator, and everything else is underneath man. Okay, man and woman. All right. But everything outside of that law is a contract. This is what we need to get into people's minds. It is a contract. Okay. So if you cause or threaten to cause harm, loss, or fraud to another living man or woman, right, then you are committing a crime under law. Everything else is a contract. Contract law. Okay. Now, living man, living woman, they can contract with another living man or living woman. That's fair, okay? A corporation, that can contract with another corporation. Totally fine, totally fair. But a corporation cannot contract with a man or a woman, okay? This is where the fraud is coming into it. This is why we're being tricked into being a person. And when we're admitting we're a person, we are now a corporation, and we can be contracted with because we've just admitted we're a corporation. All right. So the government is a corporation. The government is a corporation. They have to be, but for everything's got to be contract. So you've got the Crown Corporation. Hopefully you know what that is. The UK Corporation, Northumbria Police. Now this is my local area, and I actually looked at that under Duns and Bradstreet. I think I've got this written on the presentation later. Duns and Bradstreet, the head office not far from me. They put their annual turnover. This is before COVID, because I bet it's huge now. All right, this is before Charlie, right? So I bet it's huge now, right? Northumbria Police had theirs turnover as 1.6 million in sales. It'll be way higher than that through these Charlie fines, I'm telling you. All right. This one, NCC, stands for Northumberland County Council, my local council, right? That is a corporation. It's actually on there, Duns and Bradstreet. Okay. It's on Company's House as well. Social Services, that is a private limited company. It gives you all of the directors. It's disgusting. Okay. All courts are private business centers, private limited companies. You can only go to them if you're actually in a contract. Okay. All private for-profit corporations. There it is, Duns and Bradstreet. Go to the website. I think in the UK, dnb.co.uk. All right, but the thing is, if they are corporations, how and why do they order you around, order us around? All right, it's all indoctrination. We know it. It's programming, indoctrinating people from birth, B-E-R-T-H, school registration. This is honestly, the school registration is ridiculous, and the school curriculum is even worse. When we are going to school, right, if you've got to be a man or a woman, so you're talking to a boy or a girl, and you want to make sure that they can survive, 3 things that you need to survive, and I'm talking about like in life, okay? You need to have water to drink, fresh, clean water that won't kill you. You need food, right? So you've got to show how to grow your own food, right? And you need shelter. Know how to clean water so you can drink it, know how to grow food so you can eat it, and then know how to build a shelter so you're going to be warm and safe. That's the 3 things of life. After that, like everything, who needs algebra, right, to actually make sure that you can grow some potatoes or something? Not really. Okay, so it's like the indoctrination on there. The school registration is even more ridiculous. Now, if you think back to it, I can remember we're sitting in the classroom, there's a teacher looking at us all, and they've got the register out. Now they're looking at you and they say your name, Peter Wilson, and they want to, yes sir, or yes miss, whatever, and they take the thing. Now in their sick minds, what they're doing is when they're actually calling your name, they're saying it in full capitals. So when you're saying yes sir, yes miss, you're actually agreeing to being the person. This is how weird and sick it is, okay? But so you're saying yes sir, yes miss, it's putting you in that, like you're getting pushed down, like listen to authority, stand in that line, do not move, do not talk, right? You've got half an hour to go to and play, right? You've got to eat your dinner right now and then get back into the classroom, right? The whole thing is about indoctrination, being down under authority, being scared of authority, all of it, okay? So they've convinced man or woman that they are a person by doing all of this indoctrination, right? So now we create joinder, which means agreeing to the actual contract every single day. Okay, so let's have a little bit of a reality check. Let's have a look at the reality side. So in the reality side, we've got the creator. Now the creator made man or woman, okay? And man or woman, that's us. We created society, groups of people being together. So once you create society, you want to have a little bit of a government to watch after it. And then the government has created public servants to help you, serve you as a public servant, like MPs, members of parliaments or senators or whatever it is that they get. And then they get the policy enforcement officers, and then coming all the way down to the low end of the scale, the council office and all of those people in there. But they want you to think that it's the opposite way around, and we're flipped it up to there. So this is the legal society, okay? So you've got the Crown Corporation, the 3 crowns of Baal. So I'm not going to go on about them. I've shown you them before, all right? The one that we've got that running the Crown Corporation now, that they've got in the City of London, owned by the Crown Corporation, is the Convocation Crown. That's the one that was given by the Venetians to Henry VIII. And then they took it off the royal family after the Napoleonic War, and they gave it to the City of London. That was in 1816, the Convocation Crown from the Crowns of Baal, which was the papal bulls. Anyway, right, so they say, right, you've got the government, public servants, MPs, policy enforcement, which police, all right, council office workers, all right, lockdown lovers, all right, might be locking down at the minute, but I tell you what, like what's going to be next with the lockdown? Is it going to be like what do you call it, like global warming lockdown, right? Russian war lockdown, you know what I mean? There's no food left, so everyone has to lock down and stay in the house. And then underneath all of this, then you have man and woman. This is what they want you to believe. This is what the legal society is saying, when in reality, this is it. There's a creator, and then that's us, and that's it. And that is the truth. No, it isn't. That is words that are true. Now, in some senses, right, it's not all bad about the corporations and the companies, or sorry, the government and everything being corporations, because corporations, right, they must follow the laws of contract. So that's what I'm going in to study and get, like, you know, hopefully a bachelor's degree or whatever on tort and contract law. Corporations must follow the law of contract. It's the only way that they can exist. All right. So to follow a contract, be in contract, parties must be competent to contract. Right. In other words, you can't have a 5-year-old signing a contract. You can't do that. All right, it's got to be of age, got to be sound mind, blah blah blah. All right, free and genuine consent. You cannot be coerced or forced into a contract. Now that includes all these things that they call a mandatory, right? A mandate. A mandate. That's when Fred and Bob go down the pub for a beer and a game of darts, right? You cannot mandate and force. Mandate, if you look under the dictionaries again, I don't know if this is later on in the presentation, but it's actually a request. Okay, right? But we have to have free and genuine consent. There has to be full disclosure. You need to know all about the contract, what it is you're getting involved with. There has to be valuable consideration. That's an extremely important one, valuable consideration. So we both need to bring something to the table, that means. So when you get, this is the great one, when you're getting the bank loan, you don't actually get the loan. You create the loan, but you don't know that. But we'll go into that later. But, you know, the banks should be giving you something back for your end of it, but they're not. So both people on valuable consideration must give something. It's a toing and froing thing, right? Certainty of terms. It has to be set out complete. You cannot change it later. Meeting of the minds. We must be agree on everything that we're going to do. And there must be a wet ink signature or sign of nature or autograph. Now, there must also be privity of contracts. Now, that's a doctrine, right, which prevents a person, corporation, whatever, all right, who is not party to the contract, a third party interloper, okay, from enforcing a term on that contract. Think about debt collecting agencies for a little bit there. So you've got a third party interloper, or loads of times we get them and they've got solicitors writing about it. Solicitors even, and think, oh yes, I'm the solicitor's office. It's a third party interloper, and under a privity of contract, you've got no right and no consent to be talking to you. Okay? Think about them, and that one especially, privity of contract. So talking about the contracts, so let's go into like loans. You pay twice for all loans, and that includes the mortgage. Now, remember on a mortgage, even on a mortgage, when you've paid it, and you can check this for yourself, go onto the land registry, Her Majesty's Land Registry, and you will be a tenant, maybe a tenant in common or a joint tenant, but you're a tenant. Well, if you've paid for it, and everyone says to me, oh, wow, no, I've got freehold. Well, it's fee simple. Go check it. Don't argue with me. Go have a look for yourself, and you are a tenant on the land registry. Okay, so your sign of nature, right, on a loan or a credit agreement gives value in equity, right, to a financial instrument. Okay, so that means that your loan or mortgage is paid in full from day one. So what is a financial instrument? I best not say because it'll probably be later on, but you're actually creating a credit. We said that at the beginning. You are the source of all credit. Okay, so when you sign the instrument, you give authorization for a holder in due course. So imagine like a promissory note. Everyone talks about, oh, I'm going to do a promissory note. This is what you've just done. And what you've done is you've actually given authority to someone who's going to be a holder in due course, as in they're going to own your credit that you created by writing that out. So when you do a promissory note, for instance, I make promise to pay £1 million, and then you put that in the bank. That banker has took it and they've actually authorized it, and now they are the holder in due course, i.e., they own that money now. All right, so like we said that you created that credit account. So to gain access to the trust asset account held in your person's name, all right, your legal fiction name, all capitals. That's what that means there. All right. So this is a life insurance policy that's taken out on you when you were born. This is the bond that they created, and the bond that they're trading. It's a life insurance policy. Okay. And it's traded. That's what it is. And it's a bond. It's this Seta KV trust account. This is the trust account, the Seta KV trust account that they're accessing. This is where they're getting all the funds from. So when you give your sign of nature, they dip into your bond that was traded, your money. It's yours. You created it. So you're actually giving them your money, and then you're paying them back for it. Okay. All right. So you are the settlor or the creator of this trust asset. Okay, so a settlor creates a trust. I'll go into that later. But when you sign and create another trust, but you again are the beneficiary. Okay, so you're not only the creator or the settler, but you're also the beneficiary. But when you're the beneficiary, they're trying to actually change it around, and they want you to think you're the trustee, and that's why you're signing it, and then you have to repay anything or repay everything as the trustee, not borrow any money. I showed you about the birth certificate and everything that you authorized a negotiable instrument. All right, that is what it is. It literally is a promissory note. I've done this very quick presentations before and told people, you know, you go and you sign a loan or a mortgage. It's not really. You've signed a promissory note and then you've given it to them, and then literally they put it back into their account. Sorry, put it into their account, then give it to you the next day. Then you see the money in your account, going, wow, I've got that money, right? And then they say repay, that word repay, and that's how you do it. You repay your own money. And this is it, right? It's your money out of that set of KV trust we're talking about. And that's the simple way of putting it, but I'll just show you quickly. And this is a mess. I know it's a mess, but right, I'll try and go through it. So literally, it's a negotiable instrument flow chart. You have signed the negotiable instrument. It is a promissory note. You've given it your sign of nature. You think you've signed for a loan. All right, so you're going to sign it. When you sign it, you're the settler, you're the creator. You kind of not get that right, but you created it. Even if it was a loan, you created it because you signed it, so you are the creator. So there, the arrow goes down. It actually is a negotiable financial instrument, and it becomes an asset of the trust. We call that res. Okay, so now you've actually got that instrument, and it is an asset of the trust. You've created that trust account. So go down again. So it's delivered to the trustee. So it's one of the big banks, okay? So on the trustee, and it's given by the high street bank. So I go with the co-op give it to one of them because I've signed it. And it comes down, and now it is held in trust. It is held in trust for the settler as the beneficiary, because you are the beneficiary. So it goes off to here. The next thing they do is they monetize it. What that means is they sell it. And they sell it, right? I think they're usually at the fractional banking system, and they're allowed to sell it 9 times, but they sell it way more than that. If you can remember back, or if you were around, and it was like the Lehman Brothers when they went bust in 2007, that's when I lost all of my property and everything in there. It was just complete scam. It was all meant to happen, right? And they had monetized it instead of the 9 times, which was allowed on fractional banking, something like 40 odd times, you know, absolutely mental. But they monetize it, they sell it basically, all right? But the funds are then given to you, and you're the beneficiary, okay, and the settler. And it creates a liability, okay? It's a book liability on the bank, because giving money to the bank is not an asset, it's a liability, you see? So what happens is on this side, when they've monetized it, the funds are received because they're selling it all the time, all right, by the trustee agent, and then it's held in trust to settle the liability, okay? And then what they do is they give it straight back to the bank that actually did the monetization. Right, so now the account, all right, is settled in full. It's all paid. It's finished. Right, it's actually because they had that liability. Now it's settled. So now it's settled in equity. So there's nothing owed. Nothing is owed. You'll have to watch this a few times. You know, I was writing this out and it was just look messy. But anyway, right. So it comes back to that, and now, right, you now repay. You've got to look at these contracts that you've got, and they're not contracts anyway, but it tells you you're going to repay it, okay? So you get order for restitution or direct debit indemnity reclaim. If you can see that word repay, you can actually claim it all back through your direct debit indemnity reclaim. In England, at least, or in the UK at least anyway, all right? So have a look at that. Does it tell you you've got to repay? Does it use that word? If it uses that word, claim all that money back. It's an error, and you can get it through the error through the direct debit indemnity scheme. So if that was the case, and you really think that that's what happened, then these are the questions that you need to ask your bank. Now we're doing something. If you look, not these questions, but there's other questions, very similar, stronger questions as well for the mortgage thing, the mortgage indemnity thing that we're put. It's a lien from. If you ever heard of like. Can't remember the trust thing, but it's like Michael Obanisia, and he set up this mortgage lien thing, and he was successful with it. These questions are similar, but a little bit different. All right, but that's something to check out if you've got a mortgage and you fancy trying to fight your mortgage. But, right, going on here, number one, when we apply for a loan, is a trust created? Ask them. Okay, now they won't tell you the truth. This is how you should write out a DSAR, DSAR, Data Subject Access Request. You could have some of these questions in there, all right? Think about that later. What are the fiduciary roles of the bank? What is our role in the trust? What are we doing in the trust? Okay, in transactions or agreements signed by us, a financial instrument, okay? Are they a financial instrument, what I've just signed for? Are they going to tell you, right? Can this financial instrument be securitized? Ask them that. They'll not want to answer that because what it is saying, are you going to sell this then that I've signed it? Okay, what equitable consideration does the bank give when agreeing a loan? Because literally you've given them that money. They haven't given you anything. So where is it? What equitable consideration, we spoke about that before, is the bank giving you? Because you've just given them that money on the promissory note, which is what it is. Okay, what creates the real source of these funds? All right, that they say they lend. Where did that money come from? Show me, right, the audited accounts of the bank that says you had that money and then you gave it to me. You can't. Okay, right? If the bank monetizes this loan, this will qualify as an exchange, not a loan. You've exchanged it. They didn't lend you any money. All right, so it is an exchange. It's true. Next one, has full disclosure been given, right, to prove the path of the funding? Where did the funding come from? All right, they haven't told you, right? Does the bank accept something of value from us? Does the bank accept something from value from us that is now recorded as an asset on your books, so resulting in a new liability? You've given them money. Okay, that's what that means, that promissory note. Okay. Is it time, according to your book entries, that the borrower is actually the depositor? The borrower is actually the depositor, because you are, right? So, in fact, creditor of the principal, you should know that one, principal, they talk about it, and then they add interest on the principal amount. You created it. Ask them that question. That's a good one. Okay? So, the true answers to these questions will show that the bank has violated GAAP, GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. That makes the agreement null and void on any loan, including mortgages. Now, we specialize in DSARs. So if you're going to send a DSAR, data subject access request, if you need to know more about it, then you can be asking those questions that we just said before as well. All right, but go and check smashadebt.com. All right, and we can help you with all your debts and everything like that. But include those questions. Right, the bank is potentially committing a crime if they don't answer fully and transparently under GDPR. This is brilliant. You know, I think they made a mistake when they did this. This is when you've got to really get your public hat on. I haven't got it here, right? But General Data Protection Regulations and the DPA, Data Protection Act. This is remedy. This is brilliant for us. Like I say, I do think that they've made a mistake when they did this, because they're usually trying to kill us all, right? But your account goes to zero, right? And they're not allowed bad credit reports for non-payment when they can't answer those questions that we were talking about. You need to put the questions to them on a DSAR. Like I said, if you don't know how to do it, you can get us help to do it. Go to smashadebt.com, all right? And the payment has to go to zero once they can't complete a full DSAR. Now, I don't know if you can see this writing with there, but anyway, it's a bit like it's supposed to be red, but it doesn't look red at all. Right? We've showed you that a bank or a credit card company, they cannot lend you money. You create it. You create it. Right? And if you created it, how can you be in debt? You can't be in debt. You can't be in debt. Right? A loan, a credit card company, a mortgage. Debt is fiction. Debt does not exist. You can get out of it easily. Like I said, I think they made a mistake when they did this. GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations. All right. It's an awesome tool protecting our privacy. Right. But it's not just about privacy. It's like how they've totally like raped your name, basically. All right. So along with the DPA, Data Protection Act, all right, so you can smash not only debt collectors, but council tax. Woo! All right, debt collectors and council tax. It just smashes them to pieces. So we were talking about trusts before, and your data, it's held in a constructive trust. Now, the data subject, that's you, data subject access request. So you are the data subject. You're the one that's talking about, the man and the woman. Okay. So the data controller, right, when you're talking about GDPR, that's a company, right, and they collect your data. And then you've got the data processor, which is employed by the controller, this one, to use the data, right? So both of them owe us a fiduciary obligation under trust law of fairness. They owe us, right, an obligation of fairness, as if, bloody hell. But that's what they do owe us. So data controller, what do I mean by that? Right, well, that's a bank, right? All council tax, you know, like in the UK, or city council, if it's, I don't know, okay, or a GP, the doctors, hospital, that type of thing. They are a data controller because they control your data. Who is a data processor? That could be a debt collector. Generally, when we're dealing in these type of things, it's a debt collector. Okay, so for data to be processed, it must be done with explicit, unambiguous consent. That's a big one. Explicit, unambiguous consent. Okay, now there must be a contract. There must be a contract. We are in contract law. I said that to you at the beginning. All right. So we must be in contract law, and there must be a contract for them to have our data, and it's got to be explicit, unambiguous consent. They must have your 100% normal agreement, and you know everything about it for them to have your data. And none of that happens. These debt collectors, they turn up with your data, and you've never met them before. They have no right to have your data. That's the good thing for you. That's how you can smash them, because they've broken all of those laws. They're not laws, but they are in their eyes, but their own regulations. Okay. So a contract versus an agreement, right? Contract is a meeting of the minds. We said that before. Okay. Signed by wet ink by all the parties, and brings valuable consideration to the table. You give me something, I give you something back. That's valuable consideration. Swap. Okay. Now, compared to a contract, an agreement, right? The terms and conditions of an agreement are not negotiable, right? They must just be accepted. So when you get your, I don't watch television or anything like that, but I know you get Sky TV and stuff like that. You just accept it, or you take it or leave it. Okay, or internet, or phone, mobile, anything like that. All right. A common agreement for that is gas, electric, water, and the council tax. Never even asked for council tax, did we? Okay, gas and water and electric, they're yours by right anyway, because of the assets that you were born into, the assets of your country. Okay, and then never ever contracts. Never contracts. All right, and they can all be fought using GDPR and the special data subject access request. Special or specific. You always ask for special or specific data subject access request. Okay, this is how we fight these people. Now you can fight them, all right, with the Law of Property Act 1925. Now that may be weird, right? But it's not about a house where everyone thinks, oh, property is a house. No, it's about property is a deed. Okay, so we do it through Section 136, Part 1. An assignment of debt must be done by deed. Told you, deed. All right. Now, legal assignment. That must be absolute in writing to be enforceable. If you haven't got this in writing, it's not enforceable. Or you have equitable assignment, and that must be in writing and only enforceable if the original bank joins with the enforcement action. So let's just see what that means. Legal assignment on there, right, must be absolute in writing. They literally have to have it in writing, but, right, they've has to agree it with each other first, right? Then the equitable one, which is what they all actually do, they both must come after you, okay? But this isn't just all of it. There needs to be a contract as well, but this is just the first part. This is how we can actually beat them with the Law of Property Act. So let's have an example of that then. So it's a debt collection agency, DCA. All right, they must prove and demonstrate a legitimate interest assessment, LIA, legitimate interest assessment. Okay, there must be evidence by proof of an original debt. There must be proof of an original debt. How are they going to do that? Because they've sold the contract. They sold it because it was a promissory note, and they've sold it, securitized it. So they have no way, none of them ever have any way of showing proof of original debt, because your signature, sign of nature, cannot be found because it's been sold. Okay? Original wet ink signed contract. Well, that's what that is. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? All right? The one that sold, securitization. So they can't have it. I just said that. All right? So there you go. That is what happened, right? Plus. So it isn't just that, but it's a plus. And it isn't just this, but it's the other thing plus. So they can't just need one thing, they need it all. So plus evidence of the deed of assignment under the Law of Property Act 1925, section 1361, okay? Or on equity as written assignment under section 53, part 1. But they need that and the proof of the original contract. They need both, not just one or the other, all right? Okay? So proof of original debt, okay? Then the deed of assignment 136, part 1, or written assignment 53, part 1. That's DPA law that I'm talking about there. The Law of Property Act 1925. Boom. So get this. If you've paid a debt collection agency, right, because they do, right, people pay it, and they might be paying it in full, they might be paying it monthly, and they haven't got a deed of assignment, and they haven't got signed and agreed with proof of the original debt, which you cannot have, all right, okay, because it's sold on the stock exchange, you cannot have proof of it, then you can claim it back through that direct debit indemnity guarantee that I was talking to you about before. I don't know if you can see the color of this writing. I didn't do this with this light on. Okay, well, so whenever you get any debt collector's letter, use the DSAR, data subject access request, with the words special or specific. Special or specific, because when you send it and you don't use the word special or specific, they just go, oh, look at our privacy page. You got them on every website. Just BS to try and get you like bamboozled, and they talk through their backsides. Now, I do a DSAR, right? So if you go on to smasherdebt.com and we can help you doing that, we're experts at doing that. But a DCA, debt collection agency, must answer all the questions transparently, right? But they can't, okay? Because they've got no original proof of debt, all right? They have no assignment, and have no contract. There's the three things I have. Now, they're definitely not going to have a contract with you because you didn't sign a contract with a debt collection agency. Now, think back to what I was talking about the privity of contracts. So even when if you have signed you've signed what you thought was a loan agreement, but it's actually a promissory note. But if it was a contract, did you have privity of contracts, i.e., you're allowed someone else to come and interfere with it, a debt collection agency? No. You're so protected. It's brilliant. You just got to figure it out and know it. That's all. All right. So they buy your data. These debt collection agencies buy your data. They don't buy your debt. Okay. That's the illegal part. So that's why we don't worry about common law. We don't worry about it. We're just dealing this GDPR acts and statutes because they're breaking so many of their own rules. We can smash them with their own rules. That's why I don't understand or don't comprehend. I do not comprehend that somebody that was on our side created GDPR and DPA. They did, because it protects you as a man and a woman so much. It's unbelievable. All right. But they're hoping you don't know. Equity aids the valiant. Equity aids the valiant. That means you are not going to know. If you don't know your rights, it's your own fault. You need to know your rights and express your rights. And if you don't express your rights, you lose. So you need to know this, okay? All right? So, and now once you send this DSAR, they've got, and it is, you have to give them 30 days, all right? And if they don't answer in 30 days, then they go on to the next one, which is an ICO, Information Commissioner's Office. and you send a notice telling them that you're going to report them for that, then there's more to that. But that's what you're going to do. Okay, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this in two parts because this is getting very, very long. I'm going to put like an announcement at the beginning. All right, I did this and I knew it was taking a long time in the center when I was going over it. But just to give you this part, and then I'm going to go do the next part tomorrow. So the ICO, Information Commissioner's Office notice, it gives them 7 days. All right, because you've given them 30 days already. And a lot of times they'll reply quickly with a stupid letter. They always do. You know, they're ignorant, they're arrogant, and they think that you know nothing. They think you're stupid. All right. And that's the way that they act. So, but now you've given them the 30 days. They'll either ignore you or they'll send a stupid reply. Then you send the ICO notice and you give them a further 7 days to supply all the information that you asked for in the original one. And then you repeat it. You repeat, these are the questions they asked. All right. Okay. And then they don't do it. When they don't do it, you report them to the ICO. Now you need to report them to the ICO and when you report them to the ICO, you list, this is a report, this is a complaint about this company, Debt Collectors Jones, and they've broken this and broken that, and you actually note down all of the GDPR and DPA laws, not laws, but like regulations that they've broken. And then we file an N208, an N208 there. Now that there is at the court. Now this is what am I? I'm in March 2022, and it's £308 to file an N208 at the court. You don't have to go to court. You can file it online. But when you're filing it, loads of people I know make mistakes and they don't prove their case because they don't quote correctly the GDPR and the DPA laws that these people, I'm saying laws because you all understand what it is, but it's regulations that they've broken. So make sure when you do this N208 and you're putting it in correctly, that you list on the claim, because it is a claim, right? And you're claiming compensation. You can claim 3 times the amount. So if they've got a debt of 10 grand that they're chasing you for, you can chase them for 30, right? Now, later on, I'll show you how not only that 30, you can actually move it up to what they call a high court sheriff, right? With a high court sheriff, pay a little bit more money than the 308, but then you can move it into the high court sheriff and they can walk straight into their office and shut the whole company down until they transfer that fund. And that is true. And it happens. And I've watched the people do it. I've been trained on how to do it, and I can help you do it. So on the N208, okay, that's filed online, right? And it's the court under Article 82. Article 82 is like they've caused you distress and stress and everything like that. DPA 2018, Article 82. Okay. Oh, there it says undue alarm distress, and you can go to 3 times what they're demanding plus costs, right? But like, just save it. You know, it doesn't really matter. Just costs for like writing letters and everything like that. But say if it's 10 grand, so you're gonna like demand, or not demand, but like 30,000. So it's worth filing and knowing how to file the N208 as well. So what we'll do is, because I've got to go on, you know, I did this presentation at a live event and it's a very big presentation. So I'm going to do a part 2 rather than have it going on too long, because no one's going to stay on. It's like way over an hour already.